But by now the enemy was on full alert. Patrol boats began forming a perimeter around the suspected route, firing machine guns and grenade launchers into the dark waves. Helicopters hovered low, sweeping sonar buoys into the water. Every few seconds, bursts of tracer fire lit up the horizon. The Ukrainian team knew they had minutes, perhaps seconds, before being detected. They altered course, steering the drones toward a radar blind spot formed by coastal terrain. It was a narrow corridor, but it offered their only chance of survival. The night was black and windless over the Black Sea, the kind of silence that makes every vibration echo through, the hulls of ships and every ripple on the water sound like footsteps. In a small, dimly lit command post somewhere near Odessa, a team of Ukrainian drone operators sat before glowing blue screens. Their eyes were locked on radar plots and infrared feeds, their ears tuned to the constant hum of equipment. On the table between them lay the mission outline: intercept and destroy a Russian intelligence vessel identified near Novorossiysk. The ship, codenamed Kilden, was one of Russia's most capable spy vessels. Its radar arrays and listening posts were mapping every signal that crossed the Black Sea. Tonight, it would become a target. At precisely 0140 local time, the commander gave the word. 3 FP-1C drones, each built from lightweight composite wood and packed with explosives, were released into the dark. From above, they looked like drifting shadows. From below, their engines whispered barely above the waterline. These drones were crude but deadly, born of necessity in workshops far from the front lines, pieced together from civilian boat engines and salvaged electronics. But what they lacked in sophistication, they made up for in surprise. Their navigation relied on inertial guidance and Starlink relay bursts, allowing them to operate even under intense GPS interference. Within minutes, Russian radar posts along the Crimean coast detected something unusual. Faint returns flickered across the screens, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. Operators weren't sure if it was static, a seagull flock, or something more sinister. The airwaves crackled as Russian command relayed warnings to patrol boats in the sector. K-27PO. Anti-submarine helicopters were scrambled from the base near Sevastopol, blades slicing through the night fog as their searchlights swept the empty waters. But the drones were not alone. Dozens of Ukrainian electronic warfare specialists had been working for days to make this moment possible. Using the Lomka-2 jamming system, they began projecting ghost signals across Russian radar frequencies. To the enemy, it suddenly appeared as though a swarm of 24 drones was closing in from multiple directions. Confused and desperate to protect their ships, Russian defenses split their focus, firing flares into empty skies and launching. The first drone accelerated, its electric motor whining as it skimmed just above the waves. Russian radar finally caught the signal and alarms blared across the ship. Searchlights swept the sea, cutting beams through the mist. The crew on deck began firing heavy machine guns into the darkness, the tracers forming arcs over the water. But the FP-1s were too small, too fast, and too low. The first one struck the hull near the ship's midsection. An explosion erupted, sending a column of water and flame 50 meters into the air. The ship listed to one side as alarms screamed through its corridors. The second FP-1 followed just seconds later, slamming into the vessel's stern. This blast was even more devastating, igniting stored fuel and disabling the communication array. Russian sailors scrambled for lifeboats as black smoke poured from the ship. The third drone, struggling through heavy interference, never made contact. It veered off course and detonated harmlessly near the breakwater. Still, the damage was done. The Kilden was crippled, its electronics fried, its sensors silenced. Satellite imagery later confirmed the hit. The once proud reconnaissance ship was towed back to port, half sunken, surrounded by emergency vessels. Russian state media tried to suppress the footage. But within hours, videos from nearby civilians leaked online. The images showed massive plumes of smoke rising from the coastline, flashes of light in the early dawn. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense released a cryptic statement. The Black Sea grows quieter. In Moscow, the response was furious. Defense officials convened an emergency meeting, vowing to enhance coastal surveillance and deploy additional counter-drone systems. But analysts noted the irony: each new measure would cost millions. While Ukraine's attack had been executed using drones costing less than a family car. The asymmetry was undeniable. The FP-1s, though crude, had proven that speed, intelligence, and timing could outmatch raw firepower. Back in Odessa, the Ukrainian operators finally exhaled. The mission log showed objective neutralized. For a moment, no one spoke. Then quiet applause broke out around the room. They knew the war was far from over, but tonight had changed something fundamental. Ukraine had struck deep into Russia's electronic heart, its eyes and ears at sea, and lived to tell the story. In the following days, Russian naval traffic around Novorossiysk noticeably declined. Patrol routes were shortened, and cargo convoys began taking longer, more cautious paths across the Black Sea. The psychological effect was immense. Each radar echo, each wave reflection now carried suspicion. The Black Sea War was evolving, one drone at a time. And as both sides prepared for the next round of strikes, one truth had become clear. This was no longer a battle of ships and missiles, but of innovation and nerve. In that arena, Ukraine was proving relentless.